Welcome. Today we are diving deep into a really powerful feature in SAP S4HANA purchasing, creating your own custom document types. Have you ever found yourself needing to tweak your procurement process for, a bit more control and precision? Well, if so, you are in exactly the right place. Let's get started. So here's the game plan. We're going to start with a pretty common purchasing puzzle. Then we'll build our solution from the ground up. First, we'll get the core concepts down. That's a big one. Then we'll explore what you can really do with customization. From there, it's all practical stuff. A 3-step guide to configuration, how to link everything together, and finally, how to wrap it all up with number ranges. By the end of this, you'll have a super clear path to mastering this. All right, let's jump right in. Section 1, solving your purchasing puzzle. Before we get into all the technical nitty-gritty, let's talk about a real-world business problem. The kind of thing that the standard, out-of-the-box SAP settings don't always handle perfectly. Okay, so picture this. Your company needs to handle its high-value subcontracting purchase orders differently. You need them separate from your everyday standard POs. You want a unique number range so you can track them easily, maybe a totally different approval workflow, and heck, even a special printout. How in the world do you pull that off inside the standard SAP system? Well, the key to unlocking this kind of detailed control is something called a custom document type. It's the tool that SAP gives you to go beyond the default settings and really shape the purchasing process to fit exactly what your business needs. So let's break down how it works. Now, before we can start building anything, we have got to understand the foundation, and that brings us to a really critical concept, the difference between document categories and document types. I'm telling you, getting this right is the key to everything that follows. I love this slide because it just makes it so clear. Think of the document category as the what. It's the basic nature of the document, and it's fixed by SAP. It's like a passport. It just says you're a citizen, that's it. The document type, on the other hand, is the how. This is where you define the rules. This is like having a diplomatic passport. It comes with a whole different set of rules, benefits, and processes. One is the unchangeable foundation, and the other is the flexible tool you get to build with. So to put it a little more formally, a document category is just an internal code SAP uses to sort the basic documents. For instance, A is for a request for quotation, F is for a purchase order, K is for a contract, and B is for an internal doc like a purchase requisition. These are SAP's rules, not yours. They're hard-coded and you can't change them. And this is the other side of the coin. The document type is your key. This is where you get to call the shots. You're the one who defines the number ranges. You control which fields show up, which ones are hidden, which ones are required. You control the entire process flow. This is where all your power as a consultant or a configurator really lies. Okay, so we know what they are. Now let's talk about why. Why would you go through all the trouble of making a brand new document type? Well, this next part is all about the power of customization and the 3 main reasons you'd want to do it. Really, it all boils down to one word: control. First, a new type lets you assign a unique number range, which makes those high-value orders instantly recognizable. Second, you can define specific field selections. You could make a certain field on the header mandatory just for these special orders. And finally, you get control over what the final document looks like. A custom printout or form layout designed just for that business process. All right, time to get practical. Let's roll up our sleeves and walk through the 3-step blueprint for actually creating a custom document type. We've broken this down into a really clear, easy-to-follow guide. Here's the whole framework. It's really just a simple 3-part process. First up, you define the document type itself and all its little control features. Then, step 2, you decide which item categories are allowed to be used with it. And finally, step 3, and this is so important for the process flow, you link your purchase requisition type to your no document type. Let's break each one down. Okay, let's dive into step 1, defining the document type. This is where you tell the system how your new document should behave. And the options you see here are actually going to change depending on the document category you're working with. So the settings for a purchase requisition are different from a purchase order, which are different from a contract. Let's look at some key features. For purchase requisitions, you get some really powerful controls. Take the overall release flag. This lets you set up approvals at the header level, instead of having to approve every single line item, which is a huge time saver. Scenario-based workflow. That's the magic switch that turns on those modern, flexible workflows in Fiori. And the control indicator, R, That's how you flag a PR to specifically create an outline agreement later, not just a standard PO. Now, for purchase orders, the options are different, but they're just as powerful. That control indicator T is super important. It's what flags a document as a stock transport order, or STO, and that completely changes how the system treats it. And the stock transfer checkbox lets the system grab supplier master data for your supplying plant, which is absolutely essential for those intercompany stock movements. We've now arrived at what I think is the most elegant piece of this whole configuration, linking your requisitions to your orders. This step is what makes the whole thing work. It creates this seamless, controlled flow from an internal request all the way to an external purchasing document. To make this crystal clear, let's use our example. Let's say we just finished creating our brand new custom purchase order type, we'll call it NX, for our special subcontracting process. Now, what we want is for our users to be able to create these NX orders right from a standard purchase requisition, which is type NB. So here's the puzzle. How does the system possibly know what's allowed? How does it know that a plain old standard item on an NB requisition can be turned into a subcontracting item on our new NX purchase order? Well, the system doesn't guess. You have to spell it out and tell it every single valid combination. And this shows you exactly how you do it. You literally have to create an entry for every valid combination. You can see it right here. We're explicitly telling the system 4 things. A standard item from an NB rec can become a standard item on an NX PO. Check. A standard item can also become a subcontracting item. Check. A subcontracting item can become a standard item. And finally, a subcontracting item can stay a subcontracting item. By setting up all 4, you give your users total flexibility. Okay, we are on the home stretch. The last piece of the puzzle is finalizing everything with number ranges. This is an absolutely critical step. It's what makes sure every single document has a unique ID and can be tracked properly from start to finish. So here's the bottom line. Every single document type you create must be assigned to at least one number range. No exceptions. You get to decide if the numbering is internal, where the system just assigns the next number automatically, or external, where the user has to type it in. It's also good to know that for some advanced stuff, like when you're sending data between systems, that internal number range is mandatory. Oh, and one last little gotcha. Purchase requisitions that get created automatically by a planning run, like MRP, use a totally separate number range setup. Now, before we wrap this up, here is a massive pro tip that can save you a world of pain. When you create your new document type by copying an old one, the partner schema, the thing that controls partner roles, is not copied over. So if you want to use partners like a forwarding agent or a different ordering address, you have to go into customizing and manually assign that partner schema to your new document type. Seriously, do not forget this step. And there you have it. That's the blueprint. By understanding the difference between categories and types, following that 3-step plan, and making sure to link your documents and number ranges correctly, you can go from just using a standard system to truly shaping SAP to work for you. It's all about getting that precise control over your business processes. So I'll leave you with this question to chew on. Now that you've got the toolkit to build custom document types from scratch, what's that one unique, maybe even annoying business process at your company that you're going to go design first? Thanks for joining me on this one.
All right.